Okay, would you like to ask any question related to this activity-based costing before we get into some other questions? Okay, if you are not having any doubt, so I'll just go through what I had discussed it in the previous class. Rather, I would like to ask one of you to tell me what do you. So whatever we have discussed it in the previous class regarding activity-based costing, I would like to summarize it. Just tell me briefly. Tell me what is activity-based costing and things related to it. Okay, Avik, please tell.
Yes, sir. Good morning. So, sir, activity-based costing is the more accurate one compared to the previous one. Here we divide all the entire task into different activities and we divide it accordingly. So it gives a better understanding of where exactly the expenses are, overhead expenses are going on.
All right. Anybody else? Yes, Aritra?
Yes,
Yeah.
you even said that activity-based costing is a very expensive way. It is very time-consuming also, and a lot of involvements are required in activity-based costing.
Yes, Alisha? Aliva?
Yes, sir. Sir, in activity-based costing, we divide the activities as unit level activity, batch level activity, product level activity, customer level activity, and organization level activity. And mostly it is expensive. Its limitations are it's expensive, time consuming, and a lot of involvement is required.
All right. Itisri?
Yes, sir. We talk about the what are the steps to calculate batch activity-based costing also.
Okay. All right. So, is there anyone who would like to tell? Okay. All right. So, let me tell you the context and the reason why we should go for activity-based costing, or we have to take a decision whether we should go or not. The major reason of costing, the major objective of costing is to find out the cost of something. So in a business organization, it is mostly either it is a product or it is a service. The cost we are incurring, we should recover it from the customer with a margin so that our profit will be there. That is the basic objective. So there are different methods you can find out the cost, and always we try to find out the cost which is actually incurred. The problem arises, the the challenge is that we find out the cost incurred actually. Why? Because there are indirect expenses which cannot be identified. So that is the biggest challenge. As those are indirect expenses, you could not identify it with the job or a customer or service. So you find it difficult to charge it to that customer. And when that indirect expenses increases, it becomes a significant part of our total cost. the problem becomes even bigger. And it becomes even bigger when you are into diversified kind of products. You are into various types of products. And those products will be consuming the same common resources. So if that allocation is not done properly, there is a chance of charging less to one product and charging more to some other product, because total cost will remain same. The actual cost you will be incurring at the end of the period, or the estimated manufacturing overhead, that overhead remains same. The problem arises that you have to allocate it to different products. If you are allocating less to someone, and then you will be definitely allocating more to somebody. So if there is a undercosting somewhere, there will definitely be overcosting somewhere, because the total cost remains same. And the problem because of undercosting and overcosting, we had discussed it earlier also, undercosting will lead to loss of profit without having our own understanding and knowledge of it. Overcosting will lead to loss of customer, because if you are charging more to the customer will not visit you. And every organization is having a strategy that I will keep a margin of 20%, because you have to recover the period cost and then you have to have profit. So that is the normal strategy under which you work. It is not that for one product you keep a different margin and for the other product you keep a different margin. You can do it when you are initially introducing the product, but in a long run and in a regular practice you don't do that. Normally you don't do that. Okay. So this, to avoid, how to control this undercosting and overcosting, the major thing is that we have to find out the accurate cost. And why this problem arises, why this undercosting and overcosting arises? Because there is a common pool of expenses which is consumed by different products and services, and we use a common basis. The basis may not be driving the overhead expenses. That is the problem. There are certain manufacturing expenses, for example, rent of the factory, security of the factory expenses, etc., insurance of factory assets. These expenses are not given by labor hour, machine hour, which normally we take as our basis for calculating the POH. So when it is not driven by them and you charge it to the product, so that this problem remains there. Then various types of expenses we incur, but we take one basis or two basis, department basis, maybe labor hour, maybe machine hour, etc. Okay, and so that may not be driving the overhead. The overhead is not driven by that particular driver, the basis you are taking. So therefore, lot of study has been done. People try to find out that how to address these kind of issues. Then a method was developed which is called activity-based costing. There what they have done, they try to divide the work done in an organization into different categories of activities. And then they try to find out that which activity is actually driving the cost. Okay. So in the process, they found that majorly there are 5 types of activities. One is driven by unit level activities, units. One is driven by what it is called batch. The other one is driven by products, different products, so different activities like advertisement. Some of the activities are driven by customer because of customer specific requirement. So we will charge it to the customer, not allocate it among all the products. Then there is one more which is called organization sustaining activity, right? Which is not driven by anyone, should be treated as we were treating in the case of traditional method of costing. We were treating period cost. We will treat the same organization sustaining activity here. Not part of the cost we will be charging it to the customer, rather part of the margin from which we will try to recover these expenses. Okay, so that is the basic reason and the difference for activity-based costing. As you all said, that it is expensive because you have to do a lot of observation, a lot of study, a lot of interaction to find out the activities, find out the driver, and then the support of the management is also required. A lot of changes will also take place. So it's very time consuming and expensive. So many organizations would not like to go for it because of these weaknesses, these challenges. Okay, but it is if you can afford to do it, then it is the best way of calculating the cost, which will help you in your long run in different types of strategy formulations, etc. Okay, so give me just 2 minutes time, and we'll start discussing a new question. Okay, so in the previous question which we had done, we first identified the cost we had incurred, and then we found that in this Security Corp, all of you can see the Excel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in Security Corp, what we find that majorly they are doing 4 kinds of activities in their organization: traveling, pickup, delivery, and customer services, and okay. And then what we found that, for example, customer representative salary. So customer representative salary means the customer representative, the receptionist or people like them are not doing anything related to travel and pickup. They are interacting with the customer. So 90% of their time is for customer interaction and 10% for some kind of documentation. Right? So the cost we are incurring on customer service, 90% is allocated to customer service cost pool, customer service cost pool. Then 10%, not allocating anything to travel. What we find that drivers are spending 50% of their time for traveling and 35% for pickup, 10% interacting with the customer, and rest 5% for some other kind of activity. So the cost we are incurring should go to this cost pools. And this is how we allocated all the cost to different 4 cost pools. And then we found that this is the per cost pool, how much cost we are incurring. And all those cost pools are also termed as activity cost pools, are driven by a particular activity driver, activity major. So travel cost will increase or decrease. Depends on what? Running of vehicle. Am I right? Running of vehicle. Travel cost will increase or decrease depending on running of vehicle. If running of vehicle will not have any change, travel cost will remain same. So this is the driver, cost driver. What drives traveling cost? Running of vehicle drives the travel cost. What drives the pickup and delivery? Number of pickups and delivery. So you travel from one place to the other, maybe of 30 kilometers, it can be of 300 kilometers, but you are not putting any effort or time for pickup and delivery. It is one pickup and delivery. So in an average, this time spent by a driver and guard, or we incur some other expenses, is same. If one person is going to 30 kilometers or traveling for 300 kilometers, that pickup drive and delivery time is same. Okay, so pickup delivery cost is not driven by miles or kilometers, is driven by number of pickups and deliveries. So what drives? Number of pickups and delivery drives the pickup delivery cost. More pickups and delivery, more pickup delivery. Customer service driven by number of customers. Okay. You have more number of customers, you have to interact with them, you have to take their feedback, you have to discuss all their whatever, how they are going to plan for traveling, right? So there you spend time. So that time spent by the customer representative for customer services, right? So that is driven by number of customers. That is driven by number of customers. Right, so what we have done, we divided the cost, we put it under different cost pools, and then we identified the cost pool driven by a particular activity or driver. The next step is to find out the rate, and this portion of division, this is called first stage allocation. Okay, first stage allocation. From overhead, we are transferring to cost pools. And cost is actually collected like this. The accounting method we use, cost is collected. How much salary is paid? How much salary paid to customer representative? How much administrative expenses we are incurring? So we collect the cost like this. From here to this is a very challenging work. It is not that easy. It is very difficult work. You have to talk to driver. You have to observe them. You have to verify them. You have to correct your the data you will be collecting. So you will talk to 10 drivers. You will find out that they will have variation in their answers. So then you average it out. Then you move out the abnormalities from there, and then on the basis of that you get this percentage. This is not an easy calculation. It is not that easy. It takes a lot of time. Lot many observations, lot many corrections also. Data shared by people. Okay, then only you. So this is called first stage allocation. In today's session, we will be learning the first stage allocation, second stage allocation, then applying it to the job. So the second question we are having is, in the second stage we are having a question where we are applying all these things. So I want all of you to just go through the first part of the question, which is visible here. Second part of the question we will be coming out thereafter. So we will have small discussion on this, and then we'll go to the second part of the question. So please go to the first part. Okay. So can you tell me what are the two different costs given here?
So indirect wages and other overhead costs.
Yes. So indirect wages and other overhead costs. What do you mean by indirect wages and salaries?
So the wages of the labor who are not directly related to the production process.
Yes, the labor payment to the supervisors. Mostly it is payment to the supervisors or some of the maintenance kind of workers. They are indirect wages. Okay. Now, say for example, supervisor. If you take supervisor used to in a small organization. They not only devote time to the workers, they also do some of the administrative responsibilities, some of the order processing activities. So it is not that a supervisor will only be looking after the workers. In small organizations, they supervise those things as well as they will be involved in other activities. So the same we are finding, if you come to the third table, you see indirect wages, we are paying it to, for example, supervisors. Supervisors are also spending their time for supporting direct labor, that is supervising the workers. Then they are also into order processing. They are also into customer support. They are also into other. So if you take a small organization, you find that supervisors are spending time for various activities. Okay, it is not for supporting the direct labor. Similarly, other overhead cost is also incurred 30% for supporting direct labor, order processing 10%, customer 20%, and other 40% coming 100%. Right? So here what is done, the overhead expenses we are incurring, we transferred it to 4 cost pools which we have identified in that particular organization. And it looks as if it is a trading kind of organization. It is looking more like a trading kind of organization, but whatever it is. So supporting direct labor is one of the activity cost pool, and this activity cost pool is driven by direct labor hours. Okay, so supervisor spending time for supervising the workers depends on the labor hours spent by the workers, direct labor. If this direct labor hour increases or decreases, supporting direct labor cost will also increase or decrease. And for the period, it is estimated to have 20,000 direct labor hours, right? And this is also estimated figure. These are not actual figures. These are estimated figures. Whether it is activity based costing or it is traditional costing, we work with estimated figures and then we apply it to job because we can't wait till the end of the period to get the correct actual figure. Order processing depends on number of customer orders. Customer support depends on number of customers. Right? Customer support service, for example, the customer representative, CR. CR is dealing with 200 customers in a month. Okay, lot many works are there. You interact with the customer. It is not prospective customer. It is with the customer. I'm not talking about the prospective customers. It is not random calls. It is they are talking to the customer, booking their order, then they are discussing various things with them. Then delivery, whenever delivery will come, collection will be done. Then they will be taking feedback from the customer. So lot many works are there, right? So here it is given 200. It can be more than that. Now, if this is what we need, one, say for example, one customer representative for two customers, 200 customers. Now, if our number of customer increases to 400, do you think it is possible to manage with the same customer representative? We need one more person there. Okay, so our customer representative service cost depends on number of customers. So if number of customer increases, our cost will also increase. Then the last one is called other, which is our organization sustaining activity. You should be very clear about this organization sustaining activity. For example, I am having an administrative office. Okay. Even if you have no trading in a particular month, you will have this office. You will have all the expenses here. So these expenses are not driven by any activity, but it is there required to have an organization. So no driver for this. But would you like to recover this cost from the customer or not? Yes, you will recover it. But how? You will be recovering out of the margin. You will be recovering out of the margin. On this point, I would like to listen from all of you, but not now. After having a little more discussion and comments. Okay, so what we have done, we have divided this 3 lakh and 1 lakh in the percentage given there, and then we calculated supporting direct labor cost after allocation is coming 1,50,000, 1,80,000, 70,000 like that. So please note down this first part. This first part, please note it down. I'll be back with discussion with the rest of it. So after allocating it to different cost pool, we have to see what are the activity driver. For supporting direct labor, number of direct labor hours is the activity driver, and the budgeted direct labor hours is 20,000. So you take 20,000. 1,50,000 will be your sub.
Sir,
Yes, yes.
sir, in the first column, it is there the indirect wages and salary, that the amount is around 3 lakhs. So how did we get that? Because if we calculate 40% of the indirect wages and salaries, then it is coming 1 lakh 20.
This is the total amount, huh? This is the total amount, 3 lakhs. Okay, 40% is 1,20,000. 30% is 90,000. 20,000, 20% is okay. This is the total amount. All right. So after doing this allocation, we have to find out the activity driver rate. As we were doing it in the case of POHR, we are using a basis. Here the basis is the activity driver, and these are the activity drivers given here, right? So for supporting direct labor, number of direct labor hours, order processing, number of customer orders, customer support, number of customers, and these are the estimated figures given. So we take those figures and divide it by that and find out the activity driver rate. Okay, this is called first stage allocation and this is called second stage allocation when you find out the activity driver. Okay, so all of you please note down up to this much.
Sir,
Yes,
how
yes.
to give this an activity measured by driver rate?
Once again, Shraddha.
Sir, this 7.5 how we got?
Yeah, this 1,50,000 is the activity cost pool for supporting direct labor, and the budgeted estimated of direct labor is 20,000. So 1,50,000 divided by 20,000. Yes, is 7.5. Okay. Similarly, 1 lakh divided by 400, because order processing cost we are estimating it to be 1 lakh, and 400 orders we are placing in an period. So every order we are incurring a cost of 250.
Sir, that number of customer is given 250, but this 1 lakh divided by 400, I am getting 400. Okay, I got it. Yes, I got it.
All right. Okay, so you get this. Then we'll come to the all right. Okay, so this is done. So we all have the different rates for different activity pools, cost pools. Now we'll come to the second part of the question. During the year, Advanced Products completed one order for a new customer. Shenzhen Enterprises, this customer did not order any other products during the year. Data concerning that order follow. So this is for one order. Units ordered is 10 units. direct labor hour is 2 direct labor hours, 2 DLHS per unit. So if it is 10 units, total direct labor hour will be 2 into 10, 20 direct labor. Yes. Selling price is 300 per unit, direct material is 180 per unit, direct labor is 50 per unit. Okay. So at what price we are selling it to Shenzhen Enterprises? For the order, what price we are charging?
So we have to add up all the expenses.
300 into 10. We are charging them 3000. Okay. 300 per unit is our selling price. So we are charging them 3000. Okay. Now we will calculate the cost. And for calculating the cost in the case of traditional method of costing, material, labor and manufacturing overhead. Here in the case of activity based costing, we don't distinguish between manufacturing overhead. Rather, we have 5 levels of activity: unit, batch, product and customer. If those activities are done for a customer, we ask the customer to pay for it. So we added the material cost, which is 180 per units. In this order, we are having 10 units. So 10 into 180, 1800. Labor cost 50 per unit. So 50 into 10, 500. Then we come to the cost pool and we have got 4 cost pools, and the last one will not be taken into consideration because it's an organization sustaining activity. So you take supporting order process, supporting direct labor. What is the rate? Activity rate 7.5 direct labor hours. And how many direct labor hours? 10 into 2, 20 direct labor hours. So 20 into 7.5 is 150. Am I right? 20 into 7.5 is 150.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next one is order processing cost. Can you tell me how many orders are placed here?
10.
10 units.
One order. One order. 10 units, but one order. So per order it is 250. 250 into 1. Okay. How many customers? One customer. Per customer, the cost we incur is 400. So 400 into 1. Cost to be charged 3100. And how much we are charging? 3000.
3,000.
Is it profitable?
No, sir.
It is not. How come you charge 3000? How come you charge 3000? It means you would have estimated the cost which would have come something around 2400 or 2500. So you kept a price of 3000. Okay, so you have done under costing because you have used a method of costing which gives you this cost. See, there is no problem with you because you calculated the cost came 2400, so you kept a price of 3000. The problem is that there with the method of costing. Okay,
So is 2400 a hypothetical figure or it's rated?
Hypothetical figure can be 2500 also. Right, so I assume, for example, it is coming 2500, and it's my practice to keep a margin of 20%, so I sold it at 3000. Okay, so problem is not there with me, problem is not there with the marketing people or sales people. The problem lies with the method of costing you have used, which is not accurately estimating the cost. Okay, how much we would have charged if I keep a margin of 20%, at least 620 profit I would have charged. I would have fixed a price of 3720. Here you are thinking that you are making a profit of 500, but you are actually losing 100 rupees. And this product is not contributing towards recovering the organization sustaining activity cost also. Because you are not getting anything. In fact, you are losing 100 rupees every time you supply it to Syngen. Do you think Syngen will place the repeat order or not?
Yes.
Yes, sir. They are getting it at lower price.
Yes.
Yeah, because they are getting at a very lower price, so they will be happy with this. They don't want to discuss about the price at all. So they will come to you, revisit you, and you will be supplying, assuming that it's a very good customer and you are making profit out of it, but ultimately you are not making profit. Okay, now I will ask you a different question, which I was discussing little earlier. Whatever cost you estimate, whether it is product cost or the cost to the customer, over that you keep a margin of profit and you try to recover your organization sustaining activity. Because if you recover all your organization sustaining activity, then only you can have some profit. Is it or not? Because here in this calculation we are not taking organization sustaining activity. Here in this calculation you don't take period cost into consideration. Right? So therefore whatever cost you get, value of inventory, while fixing the price you keep a margin. Why? Because you want to recover both profit as well as organization sustaining activity. In this context, can you tell me, if the cost comes 2500, if you fix a price of 3000, for example, actual cost comes 3500 and you fix a price of 3000 and your organization sustaining activity is 1,50,000, how will you recover the profit? How will you make profit? Can you just tell me a little bit about this? Or you can ask me more questions so that I will give more information.
So we will have to increase the customer order, number of customers.
Yes, we have to increase the number of customers. That's good. But then how will you determine what number of customer we should have, and what are the challenges then you will face?
So we have to look at the total cost as a total. Then from that we will get from that we will have to add up the margin, the profit which we will get. Then we will have to divide it by in a way so that we will get the number of customers we should have to make it a profitable organization.
Sir, by dividing this value 1,50,000 with 3,000, we will get the number of customers, so that how many customers we need to sell our product, so that we will get back our organization sustaining cost. We will recover it, but we have to increase that value so that we can also get a profit out of it.
Right. Very good, very good. So these are the things we are going to learn it in the next chapter. So from one customer, suppose you are making a margin of 500. Okay. So if you sell it to 10 customers, still you are not at profit. If you sell it to 100 customers, still you are not at profit. If you sell it 1000 customers, then you will have profit. Okay. So this is the biggest challenge in our budgeting work. We actually do this on the basis of the cost to be recovered, because product cost is something which you will be incurring, and that you have to recover. But then apart from product cost, there will be a period cost, or in case of activity based costing, you will have organization sustaining cost, which is also to be recovered, and then you have to make a profit. So now I cannot add 2500 plus 1,50,000 to make profit. I cannot, because nobody will buy it at this price. So I have to keep a margin, and normal practice, I will keep a margin and I will fix the price which is a competitive price. So if the other competitors are pricing 3100 or 2900, I can price in between this. So I can price 3000. Or I will price, if it is a different types of product, I can price 20% margin, which is my normal practice. What I have to do here, my objective is to recover this cost and to have a profit, which I have budgeted 4,50,000 for this year. Right? So I need this amount of gross margin so that after deducting this, I will have a net margin of this. For reaching this margin, I have to sell a certain volume, certain number of units. Right? So that I have to plan. I have to sell this many units. For example, 1000 units. And it is not that easy to sell 1000 units. So I have to plan what I have to do. If I have to sell 1000 units, I have to spend some amount of money on advertisement also. Okay, so there comes the strategy part. Once you estimate the cost, then you decide your volume, then you make your strategy so that you can reach that volume and you can achieve your objective target, right? To reach 1000, I have to give some commission to my sales staff. I have to do advertisement because it should be backed by various things. Then only you can reach that volume of sales. Okay. So those things also comes as part of your cost and management accountings, right? So the decision you have to make, like whether you will spend money on advertisement or not, or sales commission you will give, what kind of sales promotion activities you will be doing, what product differentiation otherwise you have to do. Okay, so that's a broader part of the strategy. So for example, it is not possible to sell at a price more than 3100. So you can sell at even 3,500, you can sell at 4,000. So what you have to do, you have to do a strategy, you have to adopt a strategy of product differentiation. So your product is so different that you can charge premium price from the market. Okay, so those strategic things will also come into consideration while designing or while fixing your target for preparing your budget, right? So what I wanted to tell here, I don't want to tell about the strategy and other things which you will be learning it in the next semester. I just want to tell that I keep a margin and my objective is to have the total margin more than the period cost or organization sustaining cost so that I will have some profit. Okay, so I have to reach that volume, right? And their pricing also comes part of our decision, right? Okay, so this is an interesting thing. So here we are charging less, so we need to charge more, and this is only possible when you accurately calculate the cost. And this activity-based method is a method which will help us to find out the cost correctly. Now this is question number 5. Okay. Would you like to? I think this you already have noted it down. No? If you have not done, please note it down so that we'll move to the next question.
Sir, what is the entire conclusion? It cannot be seen from here.
Which one?
The last line, sir. We are currently charging rupees 3,000. 4 lines, sir. Last line.
Okay. We are currently charging 3,000, whereas our cost only is coming 3,100. If we keep a margin, we will be fixing the selling price at a higher value or a higher price, right? So there is a problem of we are charging less to the customer. That's what I wanted to tell. Okay, now we'll move to the next question. And I want all of you to go through this question and I will ask some fundamental questions. And I also want you to see the difference there in the previous question and the difference there in this question. What is the basic difference in these two questions? ସେଇଟା ସେଥିରେ ସେ ତଳଟାକୁ ଲଗେଇବ ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ ଆଉ 30 ମିନିଟ୍ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ନେଇକି ଯିବେ Okay. So what difference you see in the previous question and this question?
Sir, here percentage wise the allocation is not given.
Total amount also not given.
Total amount also not given. Yes. Alright, so the basic difference between these two questions, in the previous question you are allocating the two different cost pool and there you are finding out the activity driver rate, right? Whether it is 7.5 or 400 per order, whatever, that you are calculating. But here in this question, this driver rate has already been given. Okay, so this driver rate is already given. They have divided into 5 activities: material handling, lathe work, milling. Material handling depends on or driven by number of parts, and per part it is costing 0.40. Okay. Lathe work depends on turns, and if there are more turns, so the cost will also be more, and the rate is 0.20 per ton. 0.20 per ton. Milling, machine hour, grinding parts and testing, units tested, right? So the rate is already given, so you don't need to do that calculation. That is the basic difference between these two questions. In the previous question, you are asked to use activity based costing and then compare it with the price they have charged and then come to a conclusion. In this question, you are given both. As per traditional method of costing, what is the rate, which is 115 per direct labor hour, and using activity based costing, you also find out the cost of the job. So, and two jobs are also given. The basic difference between traditional method of costing and activity based costing is, in case of traditional method of costing, you take material, labor and manufacturing overhead, right? In case of activity based costing, you will have material, you will have labor, but you will have cost pools which is depending on different levels, some unit level, batch level, product level, customer level, and the cost you get is the cost to the customer, which you are going to charge, which is not there in the case of the traditional method of costing. So in this question, if I have to find out the using traditional method of costing, if I have to find out the cost of the job number 101, I need to add material, labor and manufacturing overhead. 3 things. For job 101, material is 9,700. This is given direct material cost per job. Okay, and labor 750. Manufacturing overhead will be, we have to estimate it using the POHR. So I want all of you to find out this manufacturing overhead. So how we will find out, on what basis, how we will find out?
Based on the labor hours per job. We have
Okay,
POHR maybe we will
what is the labor hour for job 101?
25.
25 into 115.
25 into 1.5.
150.
Okay, so we have one basis. Here we have 5 different activity levels. So 25 into 115, whatever will come, 2850, that we will write. And that will be the total cost of the job. So that we have done it here. So which is coming 13,325. So 25 into 115. And this is 370.
POHR is given or we have to calculate it?
It is given, huh? It is given. See, what it is given here, that the Aeronauticals Limited has production facilities specializing in jobs for aircraft components. The traditional costing system has 2 direct cost categories, direct material, direct labor, and a single direct cost pool. It is not direct, it is indirect cost pool. Single indirect cost pool, that is manufacturing overhead allocated on the basis of direct labor hour. The indirect cost allocation rate would have been 115, so which is already given there. So 115 into direct labor hours. So here direct labor hour is 25, so 25 into 115, this is coming 2875. The cost is coming 13,320. Right? This is as per traditional method. When you use the activity-based costing method, you get the cost by multiplying, you find out the material handling cost 0.40. That depends on number of parts. Okay. So this part you write it down so that I will discuss the next one. Okay, so if we apply this activity-based costing method, then again we have to add the direct and indirect costs. So there are 2 direct costs, material and labor, and then you take the cost pool depending on the activity levels, material handling depends on parts. So how many parts? Per part material handling cost is 0.4. So job number 101 needs 500 parts. So 500 into 0.40. So the 200. Okay. No difficult mathematics, only calculation, multiplication, division, etc. Similarly for job 102, how many parts? 2000. So 2000 into 0.40, 800. Lathe work is how much? Lathe work depends on turns. Per turn it is 0.20. 20,000 turns. So 20,000 into 0.20. 4,000. Milling is how much? Milling depends on machine hour. How many machine hour? 150.
One.
Multiplied by 20, 3000. Okay, is it that difficult?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Right. So difficult part is to allocating it and identifying that percentage how the cost will be allocated to different cost pools. Right. That is the difficult part, which we are not doing, which is done by a technical team where you can also be a part of it, and the team will do, and it will take a lot of time. So what we are learning, we are trying to learn that there are different methods of costing. This activity based costing is a better method in comparison to the traditional method, and why it is a better method. And if you apply, then what are the things you do? You find out a rate and then you apply it for different cost pool, and then you find out the cost. The other thing is that we are learning here that if we are following traditional method of costing, we get a cost which may be different from the actual cost or more accurate cost. For example, in the case of job 101, the cost you have calculated using the traditional method and the PHR is 13,325, whereas here the cost is 18,200. So if you estimate the cost as 13,325, obviously you will charge, say for example, 18,000. Just for assumption, if you are charging 18,000, still you will be losing 200 from each and every organization sustaining activity cost. You are not recovering. Apart from that also, you are losing 200 rupees from your. So this kind of things can have estimating the cost incorrectly, leading to loss of profit, leading to loss of customer. Undercosting, overcosting, both are harmful, right? So this is what you have to tell if anything is asked regarding activity based costing.
Sir, when we use the activity-based costing, the cost of the jobs which we are finding out, is that the cost which we are charging to the customer, or we are adding some margin for that?
Well, see, these are the product costs. Here it is the same product cost. We have not added the ordering cost, organization sustaining cost we have not taken into consideration. So if you are getting a cost of 18,200, then you would like to sell at 18,200 plus your normal practice of keeping a profit of say 20%, right? Because you know that your organization sustaining activity in comparison to your whole total amount of cost is a 10%, and 10% margin you would like to keep. So 20% you charge on cost. So you fix your price based on this. So whatever will come, that will be your price of the product. So say 21,400 or whatever. Right, so it's not 21,000, it's something. So there also you keep that same margin, right? Here the cost is coming 18,200, and if you get this cost and you keep a margin of 20%, so it will come something around 16,000, not even 18,000. So you'll be losing a lot of your money without your knowing it. You may not be knowing it because you estimated using a costing method and that cost is giving 13,325. How will you realize this? At the end of the period, when you see your income statement, based on your estimation, you are thinking you are making profit, you should have a high value of profit, but ultimately you will find that your profit is not that much. Then only you will realize that something is going wrong. So there you can think of finding out the reason, and in the process you will realize that the method of costing you have used is not correct, right? But if product diversity is not there, complications is not there in the production, a common resource is not shared, the manufacturing overhead is not significantly high, then in that case you don't need to go for the activity based costing. So therefore many organizations are moving towards this and adopting this activity based costing. Some of the organizations are still continuing with this traditional method of costing. Okay, so we need to know both the methods of costing because we don't know where we will be applying which method. But one thing you have to keep in your mind, after finding out the cost, you have to keep a margin, and the objective of that margin is to recover your organization sustaining activity cost or period cost and give you some profit, and that is only possible when you reach a volume, and that is why budget is necessary. You prepare your budget, right? You prepare, not only budget is for estimating the cost, budget is also for estimating the sales you want to have from different regions and the capacity constraints you are having, right? So many things are there. This is one of the small part of the whole process of decision making. Okay, so there are two more questions here that also you can do. Okay, and this Excel sheet I will be sharing it with you so that you can refer it. Two more questions are there. This is a very good question. Little bit of complication is there, so you have to, and it is already solved there, so will not be a difficult task. Okay, but you have to understand there are some complications here, but a good, very good question. So I will take your attendance now, and today I don't want to tell much about other things. So okay. Avinash?
Yes, sir.
Avinash Patnaik?
Yes, sir.
Aditi?
Yes, sir.
Aditya?
Yes, sir.
Aishwarya?
Yes, sir.
Aliva?
Yes, sir.
Alok?
Yes, sir.
Anuradha? Aritra?
Yes, sir.
Arpan?
Sir, Arpan was there. Sir, Arpan was there. He's facing network issue.
Okay. Arpan Bohidar?
Present, sir.
Asis?
Present, sir.
Avik?
Yes, sir.
Bhaskar? Chandita?
Present, sir.
Chinmay? Debopam?
Present, sir.
Deepshika?
Present, sir.
Gautami?
Present, sir.
Itishri?
Present, sir.
Mahaswata?
Present, sir.
Nirvik?
Yes, sir.
Pratyasha?
Present, sir.
Pratyush?
Yes, sir.
Rahul? Rajeshwari?
Present, sir.
Rishad?
Present, sir.
Meenakshi?
Present, sir.
Pradeep?
Present, sir.
Sambit?
Present, sir.
Sambita?
Present, sir.
Santanu? Simran?
Present, sir.
Sharda?
Present, sir.
Shivam?
Present, sir.
Shreya?
Present, sir.
Shreya? Sneha?
Present, sir.
Soham?
Present, sir.
Soumyajit?
Present, sir.
Subhajit?
Present, sir.
Shubham? Sunit?
Present, sir.
Tini?
Present, sir.
Yash?
Present, sir.
Aditya Karan?
Present, sir.
Abhinav? Shivani? Kumar Aditya?
Present, sir.
Present, sir.
Piyush? Devajyoti?
Present, sir.
Bhagyashree?
Sir, she was there.
Okay, Siddhant,
Yes, sir.
Saswat, Sonali,
Present, sir.
Naman. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.